Welcome to the deep dive. Really excited today. We're taking a closer look at a remarkable figure, K.Y. Makade, a well-known Christian scholar and poet from Maharashtra, India. His ideas are still, well, making waves, and our insights for this deep dive, they come straight from excerpts shared by his son, Kiran Makade. He's taken on the significant job of publishing his father's huge collection of poetry.
Yeah, and what's fascinating here, I think, is how K.Y. Magade's work gives us this unique blend.
Yeah.
Deep spiritual insight, but also real artistic expression,
Yeah.
especially within Christian literature. So our goal for you today is really to grasp the essence, the core of his contribution, and its lasting impact.
Okay, so we're talking about a really prolific writer then. He penned, what was it, 198 Christian poems, bhajans, right, which his son has now published. And bhajans, for anyone maybe less familiar, are traditional Indian devotional songs, hymns, but here adapted for Christian themes.
Exactly. Beautifully adapted.
What really jumps out at me, though, is how his son describes the poetry, a perpetual expression of the mind. What does that suggest about his creative process? Was it less about, sitting down to compose and more
Yeah.
just a constant flow?
That's a great way to put it. Yeah, perpetual expression.
Yeah.
It suggests a life where art and spirit weren't separate boxes. They were completely interwoven. It probably wasn't about waiting for some muse to strike. His faith, his understanding, they were so deep that the poetry just seemed to flow, almost continuously.
Yeah.
He was known for spontaneous words, even called a swift poet. People say he'd sometimes compose poems right there on the spot, maybe even like during discussions on Bible passages. You can sort of picture it, right? Someone so immersed that poetry just, well, gurgled out naturally.
Wow, that paints quite a picture.
Yeah.
And it connects, doesn't it, to his other qualities, the incisive thoughts, the deep study of the Bible. So how did that rigorous scholarship, that sharp mind, feed into his poetry? Did it lead to unique insights? Maybe challenge conventions?
Oh, absolutely. Christian literature in Maharashtra at the time often followed certain devotional patterns, Magadi. Well, he wasn't just repeating things. He took classical Marathi poetic forms, but fused them with a very personal, almost introspective spiritual journey.
Okay.
So, for example, one really striking insight was how he talked about suffering, not just as a test, but as a crucible, a place where poetic inspiration could actually be forged.
Interesting.
He argued that true spiritual expression often comes right out of that deep internal struggle. It's a more active, maybe creative response to hardship than, say, just passive acceptance, which was perhaps more common then.
Right, so a different angle on it.
Exactly. It gave his bhajans this depth, a psychological honesty that really struck a chord.
So we have this image then. A poet whose work is deeply tied to who he was, his study, his personal struggles. How did that very personal, spontaneous, profound outpouring become something so universal, so enduring?
That, I think, gets to the heart of his belief. K.Y. Magade genuinely held that poetry born from that spiritual struggle. It's directly related to life itself. And because of that, it's alive. This wasn't just crafting nice verses. His poetry was woven into existence. His commitment to expressing himself, that self-awareness, especially through the honesty in his poems, it created what his son beautifully calls a pure, clear, and unadulterated gurgling stream of literature.
A gurgling stream. I like that.
It just shows how an authentic voice, one that's really rooted in personal truth and depth study, can absolutely stand the test of time.
And it clearly has. So just to recap for everyone, K.Y. Magade left this incredible legacy, 198 Christian poems by bhajans brought to light by his son, Kiran. Poetry described as a perpetual expression of the mind, marked by spontaneity, sharp insights, deep biblical knowledge, and that swift, flowing style.
And connecting all that, the bigger picture is his core belief. Poetry born from struggle is alive. That's why it lasts. It's why his work is still celebrated. People are re-recording his bhajans with new tunes, and he's remembered every year on his commemoration day, May 2nd. Maybe something for you to think about is just how an artist's commitment, that dedication to honest self-expression through something like poetry, can create that kind of enduring, gurgling stream that keeps speaking to people generation after generation.